Anna Paulina Luna. One of the reasons I love your transparency campaign is because it does help people have faith that you guys are doing something, especially in the midst of doing nothing. What did you learn from the Kennedy assassination? And make sure you help people understand the source and what that means to you in the assessment of it.
Well, look, with the admissions from our own government in those declassified files, the CIA did obstruct and interfere with congressional investigations. And according to what we learned from witnesses actually in the hospital where Kennedy was brought after he was shot from multiple angles. So did our government know about it and have Oswald under surveillance? Absolutely. But, you know, Chris, I'm glad that I was actually able to break the news about me initially obtaining and having conversations with the government of Russia in an effort to obtain those Oswald and the Soviet-era documents looking into the assassination of JFK, because I timestamped that. And we were actually able to finally obtain those documents. And this comes on the eve of a very historic meeting that will be happening next week in Hungary, where President Trump and Putin will be likely talking about a trade deal. This will be the first time, really, since those back-channeled conversations with Kennedy and the then Soviet president of Russia about those similar talks. And so these are historic times that we're living in, and I am grateful for the sake of the American historical account of the assassination of Kennedy, as well as for many of the investigators, that we were given those documents, because it is providing historical context. And according to researchers, to include a former NSC advisor to Clinton, who will, I'm sure, be making a statement soon, but these documents are being confirmed to be authentic.
So, you know, APL, that, you know, you're dealing with a guy who is a cold-blooded killer, and they are masters of manipulation and making us hate one another. Are you concerned, both that's why Putin is going to Hungary, because the president is meeting with Zelensky about giving them tomahawks, which may be a game changer in the state of play there, to manipulate the president. Are you worried that you may be manipulated by what they're telling you they know about the Kennedy assassination?
Well, that's where our experts in Kennedy and also intelligence comes in to confirm these documents, right? But as of right now, if you're saying that, not you specifically, but if, you know, in the documents it's talking about how Kennedy was advocating against the exchange of basically nukes, right? We all know this about the Cold War and the Cuban Missile Crisis, but that's nothing new. In fact, these documents are confirming a lot of what's been released by our own government, and also providing the diplomatic perspective of the assassination of Kennedy, which Congress has been trying to obtain for decades. And I don't think that this is coming at a similar time to those talks, because we've been coordinating this for months. And as you know, Chris, I actually was able to announce it on your show when we first got word of this. So they didn't approach me. I approached them on behalf of our task force and our investigations, because I was made aware of the documents. But ultimately, to answer your question, you know, our jobs as members of Congress is to, first and foremost, if you're a good leader, is to advocate for peace and not war. And you should not be ever advocating for a continuation of that war, because there are many millions of people on both sides that are being killed, and a lot of them are the youth of those nations. And so I'm happy that President Trump is in office, and he's had to talk to some very bad people, to include, you know, the people that run Hamas, which is not so nice of an organization. But because of his willingness to do that and open up those dialogues and conversations, he was able to negotiate the peace deal in Gaza. And I think every side agrees that that's historical. And so I don't care who it is, I'll have the conversations if that means peace.
Well, you know, it depends who you talk to, right? Because there are people on the far left political spectrum who think Hamas is freedom fighters in this crazy society that we're in right now. Ami, last question to you on this. The current dynamic within the party, do you think that it lends itself to a change in leadership? Or do you think that the rank and file are still happy with what they're getting on the Senate and House side?
You know, I think in our party, I think we would like to see it end to the shutdown. I mean, I think you've got contours of a deal that could address the ACA subsidies, the cost. I think, you know, we'd be fine putting a cap on who's eligible for those subsidies. You know, the president said those subsidies are being used by undocumented. If you want to write that into a piece of legislation, let's write in that none of these subsidies can be used for folks that are not here legally. So I think we're getting there, but, you know, what comes next, we'll see.
Jeffrey stays, Schumer stays, as far as you know.
I mean, right now they're leading us through this, so I don't see any threat to either one of them.
I got to tell you, I don't know about politically, but in terms of personally, I think you're winning the shutdown. Look how tan you are. You're making me and Anna Paulina look like ghosts. You better get back to work.
I'll be back in D.C. next week.
All right, thank you. It'd be nice for you guys to do something on that. APL, thank you very much for talking to us about the transparency and the state of play. Thank you. Always good to have you on the show. And Mr. Barry, you are always welcome. Too late. Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.